Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to Week 2 of the 2025-26 NFL season. Week 1 is officially in the books. A lot of key matchups that happened the past Thursday through Monday, including a big game down in Brazil where the Chargers aimed to beat the Chiefs, which I called. We saw that the Ravens could hold on to a lead once again, and they coughed up to the Bills, and I called the Bills winning that game. We also saw the Bears do the exact same thing on Monday night. I didn't call that one. Huge matchup between the Steelers and the Jets went down to the wire. The game down in Atlanta went down to the wire. I called that one wrong. All in all, I went 12-4 last week. Phenomenal week. The only losses I had were, of course, the Bears-Vikings game, Buccaneers and Falcons, Dolphins and Colts. You saw the Colts coming out of there, and then the Raiders winning in New England. Well, that's all behind us now. That is last week news. It's now time to concentrate on week number 2. Have a full slate of action. We'll kick things off on Thursday night, and we head back up to Lambeau Field, where the undefeated Packers will play host to undefeated Commanders to find out who's going to go 2-0 early in that NFC calendar. Both teams had decent games last week. Didn't really put up a lot of points on the board. Didn't really have to. They did what they had to do. Made the plays when they had to make the plays. Their defense has stepped up. They may have had to make the plays. Of course, the Packers having Michael Parsons does kind of help you. Even though Lions still able to put up 13 points. The Commanders' defense kept the Giants out of the end zone, which is really not that hard. With Eckler being questionable right now for the Commanders in the running attack, that kind of gives them a little less weapons if he's not able to go forward. But a couple injuries, question marks on the offensive line by the Packers could help Washington, have a meeting in the backfield with Jordan Love. But Daniels and Love should both have decent games as well. Daniels had over 230 yards passing with a touchdown, but Jordan Love had over 180 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. So 2 is always better than 1. And then look-wise, Green Bay's favorite at 59%. They also have a 3.5-point advantage. And I kind of like that. I think this will be a very good game between these two. Right there on Amazon Prime. And I will also give the win to Green Bay. Now we'll head off to Sunday. I'm dealing with another feline furball fiasco. They're the jungles of Cincinnati as the Bengals play host to the Jaguars. Both teams are 1-0. Both Burrow and Lawrence did look kind of questionable in their games. Burrow, 113 yards and a touchdown. Lawrence, 178 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But Anthony Jr. was a key factor for the Bengals. He had over 140 yards on the ground, but never found pay dirt. And that's going to be key for the Jaguars this season. If Anthony can be a huge factor in determining the game, that will give Lawrence plenty of time to placate where he has to go to. And dealing with at least 3 offensive linemen right now that are questionable. That is going to be play havoc. And for Cincinnati, their defenses always seem to be liable. They coughed up 16 points to Cleveland. But analytics right now has it in favor of Cincinnati at almost a 60%. They also give them a 3.5-point spread advantage as well. I'm debating where not to take that, but I probably will take the Jaguars for the points. Just how they play, just how the Bengals played against the Browns last week, makes me believe that there could be a possibility that they'll cough up points against the Jaguars, and I think they will. I think there's going to be some heroics by, Joe Burrow and Higgins or Chase to get that W. But I will give it to the Bengals to edge out the Jaguars. Then we have to the big D, where D stands for disappointment, drama, and delusions. As the Micah Parsons less Cowboys defense, which could have used his presence last week against Philadelphia, But Jerry Jones thought otherwise. And CeeDee Lamb proving that maybe he's not worth all the hype and money he got, as he had 2 key drops last week against the Eagles that could give the Cowboys a chance to win. The Giants, they're just being the Giants right now. Doesn't matter which quarterback you have. Russell Wilson's right there, back there. I mean, terrible numbers. He looks like Eli Manning's last year. That's how bad his performance looked like. Malik Neighbors right now is questionable, so it could be another bad day for the G-men. Right now, analytics has it Cowboys at 64%. They got them at 3.5. I have a feeling the Cowboys are going to win by more. I think they're going to come out here and they're going to make a statement out of the Giants. Put up some great numbers, which Cowboys always do against bad teams. But they'll bounce back and get the win against the Giants, move to 1-1. Now we head to the Motor City, where the Lions play host to the Bears to see which team avoids going 0-2 to start the season at the bottom of the NFC North, which a lot of preseason polls have put, or pundits and whatnot, put the Bears at the bottom of the North again this year. The way they played last week, I tend to agree with them. Chicago started off great opening drive, great presence on the defense, has some good drives beyond that as well, especially a pick 6. And hell, they were up by 15 points, only to lose it in the end. And Caleb Williams going back to his, I'm baking a cake. A 6-tier wedding cake. I don't care how long it takes me back here. I'm baking this. I'm not moving. And it just totally disrupted him. He was all out sorts, and you get to tell by Coach Johnson, he was not happy at how this offense played out. So I have a feeling they suffered in practice this week. But now he needs to take on his former team where he used to be the offensive coordinator, so he knows Jared Goff's ins and outs. But that Bears defense, still questionable, and still got a few question marks still, especially at corner, which will really hampered him last week, being thin in secondary. Kind of let J.J. McCarthy's able to pick them apart. And Detroit really couldn't get anything going because of Green Bay's Marco Parsons. I don't see anyone in the Bears really stepping into that role that Marco Parsons does. But they definitely were in the backfield quite a bit against the Vikings when they're able to get back there. I have a feeling they'll find ways to get back there again and try to disrupt Jared Goff and disrupt Montgomery to limit their actions. The Bears' running attack was minuscule, to say the least. Swift definitely was not swift enough. So unless the Bears, running core can get something going, there's a lot of question marks there too. And analytics has a 61% Detroit. Detroit is favored by 5.5. And I'm going to show my bias. I am taking the Bears. There were a lot of good things last week against Minnesota, and they towards the end they actually were playing very well as well. So they got fix up that middle. That's a huge middle they got fixed, but still. And Detroit still put up some decent numbers against Green Bay. Don't get me wrong. They will have a good thing, but playing against their former offensive coordinator, kind of knows a little ins and outs, a little tells that Jared Goff could play havoc for Lions offense. So we'll see how that one goes. But I'm being edgy, taking the Bears. Then we head down to Music City, where Cam Ward to play host to the LA Rams. LA Rams come in here, just kind of limped in, escaping Houston with that 14-9 victory. Didn't put up a lot of offensive numbers. Didn't have to. Their defense kind of handled a lot of things for them. And with a couple question marks on that offensive line for the Rams, it kind of puts a little question mark on the availability right now of Matthew Stafford and how long he stay upright. But Cam Ward, looked somewhat decent. 12 of 26, 112 yards, but no picks. So that's always a good thing. Troy Pollard only had 60 yards on the ground. So the rushing attacks definitely got, step up, but I have more faith in Matthew Stafford just because the veteran presence always seems to fight away. Puka Nakua is going to probably have another great game. Right now, analytics, 66% for the Rams. They're favored by 5.5. I might need the one. Taking the Rams. Then we head down to South Beach as the Dolphins play host to the Patriots to find out who can avoid going 0-2 to start the season. And both teams struggled a bit in their home openers. Well, Miami more. Tagovailoa only had 114 yards in the air, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Rushing attack was pretty much non-existent. For the Patriots, May almost 300 yards or 290 yards, passing with a TD and a pick. But the rushing attack for both teams were missing. And that's going to be a huge factor in this one. A couple corners for the Patriots are questionable coming in, which will kind of hamper some things. And there's a few offensive players, should I say, that are also questionable for the Dolphins. And not to mention Tyreek Hill might have some issues as well. A little off the field disputes that he's going to have to worry about. And right now, analytics has it Miami at 52%. They also give them a 1.5. And I'm going to go on a edge here. I mean, I was taking Miami originally just because they're at home, a little bit of heat factor playing in. But they had good game against the Raiders. They just couldn't finish it out. And I have a feeling that with Miami's troubles, how they were kind of manhandled by Indianapolis, if New England can mimic that against Miami, they could spew a lot of problems with the Dolphins this year. And I think there's a lot of issues going on down there in Miami. I will take the Patriots sneak out South Beach with a W. Then we have to the Big Easy is the Saints will play host to the 49ers, and the 49ers are limping into this. Kittle is out. Brock Purdy is injured. I mean, Brock Purdy had that massive drive at the end of the game to lead the 49ers win in Seattle. New Orleans just looked out of sorts against Arizona. I mean, Rattler had over 200 yards passing, but nothing else. Alvin Kamara wasn't much of a factor. He did find the pay dirt, but otherwise, there's not really much going on for that. There's a lot of question marks on that offense. I mean, Kittle gone, like I said. Jennings is questionable. Watkins is questionable. So that's 2 receivers. Jordan James, the running back, is also questionable. So, I mean, he's a backup quarterback for McCaffrey. And McCaffrey also has, underlying calf issue. So there's definitely some things going on with the 49ers. But is that enough to really hamper? I mean, with Chase Young also questionable for that Saints defense that could help out, especially also having some safeties. So your secondary is a little thin. A couple of defensive tackles. So Saints got their issues. 49ers got their issues. I trust the 49ers more with their issues. Right now, analytics has it at 49ers almost at 67%, and they gave them a 7.5-point spread advantage. I will think this will be closer just because of injuries. I think injuries will play a huge factor in this game. The Saints lost by 7 to Arizona, but I have a feeling that the way the 49ers are, this one will be closer because they had a comfort behind to beat Seattle. So I would take the Saints for the points, but I am taking the 49ers to win in the Big Easy. Then we head over to the MetLife once again as the Jets play host to the Bills. And the Jets always play the Bills tough. And look at what happened last week. The Jets were up on the Steelers and they coughed up the points and lost the game. The Bills are trailing to the Ravens and managed to score those points and win the game. So both these teams had phenomenal games. Their defenses were MIA, to say the least. I mean, the Jets coughed up 32. The Bills coughed up 40. Justin Fields definitely had a great game last week, over 200 yards passing with a touchdown in the air. Asheville ran one in as well. Hall had a phenomenal game on the ground, over 100 yards. That's the thing that the Bills missing was that a good rushing attack, but Josh Allen had almost 400 yards in the air. He was able to spread the ball around quite a bit. Right now, analytics has it Buffalo at 66%, and they have a spread of 7.5. Take the Jets for the points. The Jets will make this close. It's just how these guys play each other. It's part of AFC East lore, almost. I mean, every so often the Jets got to get a win. It's always against one of their divisional foes. I don't think it's going to be this one. I think both teams are kind of, coming off those surprising results last week. The Bills going to just utilize that catalyst. It's like, hey, we got to work on some things to clean it up. And I think the Bills will be able to slip past the Jets with the victory, probably by like 3 or 4 points. We have the Steel City as Aaron Rodgers play host to the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks had some possibilities against the 49ers, but just couldn't, hold off that last drive for Mark Purdy. Ended up losing at the end. Sam Darnold, decent numbers, 150 yards in the air, and that's about it. But we saw what Aaron Rodgers did against the Jets, what he really wanted to do against the Jets. Not sure he's going to do the exact same numbers against the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense will definitely make things a little more interesting. So I think Aaron's going to struggle a bit. But DK, being formerly with that team, should know some of the weaknesses in that secondary. They should be able to exploit it. Right now, Steelers have a 60% advantage via analytics and only have a 2.5-point spread advantage. I kind of like those odds as well. I am taking Pittsburgh to win to move to 2-0 on the season. Now we head to Baltimore, who's coming home after coughing up that lead against Buffalo. Once again, this team has been doing this for years now. This defense has great leads and then just cough it up. Or the offense just sputters and the other team just gets hot right at the time frame. And it's so frustrating watching these guys doing that. And just I can't imagine being a fan of this team, watching them having a lead and just cough it up like that. Cleveland, right now, Joe Flacco's in charge. They put an adult in charge of that quarterback room. We'll see how this one plays out with Cleveland. Flacco almost had 300 yards in the air, touchdown, but 2 picks. Lamar Jackson should do a lot better. I expect Derrick Henry to be more of a menace. He had one mistake, and that just changed the momentum of the game last week. But having that key factor on defense for the Browns will be, with Myles Garrett, will definitely hamper things. A couple of question marks on that defensive line should give the Ravens just enough edge there. Right now, the Ravens have an 80% analytics, and as well as a 12.5-point spread against the Browns. I would take the Browns for the points. If you're looking like that, I don't know. It's just one of these games that could, flip the script on them. But I still think the Ravens are going to win to avoid going 0-2, keep pace with the Steelers. But definitely, I think it'll be a little bit closer than what they're saying. I still think it'd be like a 10-point win, anyways. But Ravens. And then we got the Battle of the Horses over there in Indianapolis as the Broncos come to town, take on the Colts. The Colts came out of nowhere. I didn't think they had it in them with Daniel Jones coming in there to give Richardson some quarterback competition and him taking the starting job away from the young talent they got. And he looked like Daniel Jones that won that contract from the Giants. One of the reasons why they went to the playoff that year. over 270 yards passing and 1 touchdown, 22 of 29. Bo Nix has some problems. He looked like a rookie quarterback. But he's definitely one of these guys you can always – he finds ways to rebound. Having a couple of tight ends kind of questionable kind of limits your safety valve. But injuries and some question marks on the secondary for the Colts should give Bo Nix what he needs to get to Sutton and continue their love connection. Right now, analytics has it Indianapolis at 51.5%, but the point spread has it Denver at 2.5. I too like Denver. I think this will be a close game. I do like the 2.5 spread because I do believe that these two teams should be. Indianapolis look like a much improved team, but we'll see how long that lasts for the season. Then we head to the deserts of Arizona as the Panthers come to town, take on the Cardinals. Bryce Young still didn't look that comfortable against Jacksonville. Yeah, over 150 yards passing with 1 touchdown but 2 picks. Kyler Murray didn't look that much better with 160 yards in the air, but he did have 2 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr. definitely was a good recipient of that one. Both rushing attacks are solely missing, and that's going to be a huge factor in that one as well. Determine which one's going to go. A couple linebackers for the Cardinals being questionable could hurt that front a bit. But Arizona right now analytically is 66% favored, and they do have a 6.5-point spread. I don't mind either one of those. I think Arizona should be able to, get past Carolina and move to 2-0 in the season. In the rematch, the Super Bowl out there in Arrowhead as the Eagles come to town, take on the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs got outplayed down in Brazil, and Philly was able to outplay Dallas despite having the issues on defense, losing Jalen Carter early for suspension because he decided to spit on Dak. Whole thing where Dak was just spitting in his direction but not at him. Jalen Carter was in the wrong regardless, but it's still up winning. I mean, Hurst didn't look all that great. 152 in the air, 62 on the ground with a touchdown. Was not pretty for the Eagles at all, but they always seem to find a way. They always seem to find a way to put points on the board. They always find a way to make themselves competitive. The Chiefs tried to do everything they possibly could. They just couldn't do it in the end. Right now, some question marks right there in the receiving corps, especially with Worthy and Royals, both questionable. Kelsey also kind of taking the blame for the injury to Worthy. And Kelsey's been kind of, a non-factor. Hollywood Brown showed up more in that Chiefs. And the Chiefs have a collection of receivers anyway, so they always seem to find a ways to point points up there. But right now, analytics has it at Kansas City at 51%, but the point spread has it at Philly at 1.5. Right now, I think it's Philly. Until somebody proves me wrong, I think Philly has a shot to win this game. It's going to be close. It's going to go be back and forth. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City was leading at half, to tell you the truth. But I think, the Eagles are going to find a way to fly. And Sunday night, we up to Minnesota as J.J. McCarthy is looking to go 2-0 as he play host to Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons, who just could not get that game-tying field goal to go in to push their game as the Buccaneers in overtime. And the Falcons had great numbers. I mean, Penix almost had 300 yards in the air with a touchdown. Now, McCarthy struggled early. I mean, he had that one pick and getting returned, but still had 2 touchdowns. He actually ran in for it as well. So he definitely has some upside to him. He's got some moxie to him. I give the kid his credit. He showed up against Chicago. No question about it. He even showed poise after he threw the pick and went to his offensive line and talked to him. Rookies, technically I call him a rookie, he's just his second year in. Don't do that. Offensive linemen don't do that. But they respect him more because of that. And that kind of rallied that offensive unit right there to erase that mistake that they had and to assert their dominance on that Bears defense. Question marks on the offense for the Falcons. I have a feeling Penix will find himself kind of struggling a bit. Right now, analytics has it at 63% for Minnesota. The game a 3.5-point advantage. I think Minnesota's going to win by more, but I definitely see Minnesota winning and going to 2-0 on the season. Then we have a double feature on Monday night. We'll kick things off out there in Houston with Houston Texans play host to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay squeaked out of Atlanta with the W, thanks to Ibuka being their primary receiver, and then getting two touchdown receptions from him. For C.J. Stroud, I mean, he looked all out of sorts to get that Rams defense. He only had 188 yards and a pick. Couldn't find anything. Chubb couldn't get my things going on the ground. Only 60 yards. And that Houston offense could not find the end zone, which is shocking. They were out-hustled, outplayed, and I think their woes will just continue because they still have a couple guys that are questionable for next week for receiving core, one of them being Christian Kirk. A couple linemen also questionable. In terms of that Buccaneers defense, a couple secondary guys questionable that could give the Texans the little out they need to possibly attack that Tampa Bay secondary. Analytics, virtually down the middle. 49.9 for Tampa Bay, 49.7 for Houston. Point spread right now has it at Houston at 1.5. I'm sure this will probably go to even by the time it gets to Monday night, unless some other factor comes into play. This is going to be a coin toss, to tell you the truth, and I will take Tampa Bay to win in a shocker in H-Town, moving to Texas to 0-2. Then we have to Vegas, where they surprised our Raiders, being host to the Chargers, who went down to Brazil and got a nice win against the Chiefs. And now they got back home, take on another AFC West foe. Say they go 2-0 in the division, which would be a huge factor. But Geno Smith and Pete Carroll hooking up again, this time in Vegas. Geno, over 360 yards passing and a touchdown, as he was just having a field day against that New England team. And Herbert, over 300 yards passing himself, but 3 touchdowns against Kansas City's defense. So we'll see how things kind of play out. But for Geno, having Brock Bowers questionable will be a hindrance for them. But that defense for the Chargers being a mash unit right now gives everything that the Raiders need to kind of possibly, challenge the Chargers. Right now, the Chargers are at a 60% analytic advantage. They also have a 3.5-point spread right now. This one I'm going to go on the edge. This one I'm going to take the Raiders to win at home, just because how they played against New England, and this is a rivalry game all the way back to the old days, the AFL, and a lot of history between these two teams. They always seem to play each other tough. It's always that way. I have a feeling that that the Raiders will find ways to do it again. Now, I don't think the Raiders will continue this winning streak for very long, but getting 2 good wins to start the season just puts them in the right mindset. And give Pete and Geno some love out there in Vegas. But I will take the Vegas to upset the Chargers to move to 2-0. Well, there we go. Those were my picks. Most of them kind of right down the line with how everything's shaping right now. There's a few of them I kind of question, like that Denver-Indianapolis one. I can see go either way. I'm not really keen on that Chicago pick, but I'm being a little biased right now at the beginning of the season. Jacksonville, I think, could cause some problems. Washington could cause some problems. This Charger Raiders won. So that was some interesting matchups. We'll see how things going to play out. Right now it's early in the season. Anything can happen. No one's out of the picture just yet. Plenty of football still left to play. Still got games in Ireland, Germany, England, Spain this year. So we'll see how things will play out. But hey, let me know down below which game you thought I got completely wrong, Which game surprised you last week? Are you still hyped on your team this year? Or you start questioning things already? Let's mix up the comments below. The more we interact, the better YouTube algorithm boosts this video. You know, the almighty YouTube algorithm that we pay homage to put the information in front of our frontal cortex to make us happy. The other thing you do to help this channel out is hit that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. One more thing you can do is absolutely free. In this economy, you need stuff that's free. And free is always the best thing. It's to subscribe. Like I said, it doesn't cost you a dime. You hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn notification. Lets you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time. Chat Sports Talk.